Remember the story that I reported on a couple of weeks ago about that fire captain in California, Rebecca Marodi, who was found dead inside of her home? At first, everyone was on edge about the story because, of course, this came or happened shortly after all of the crazy wildfires in California. And at first, people were questioning if, this was a response to those fires, because Rebecca helped fight those fires. And there was just a lot of wild stuff happening in California. So many reports of arson. There were gangs riding around on motorcycles, robbing people's homes, a lot of crazy stuff. And when this case first broke, or the news first broke, everyone started, kind of assuming that maybe it was linked to the fires somehow. But then it was quickly revealed that her wife was the suspect. Now, after this was revealed, it was like the media coverage around this case kind of plummeted. And I no longer saw much talk about the case, hardly at all. Now, in the initial days and last time we talked about this case, it was believed that Rebecca's wife, the suspect in this case, Yolanda, it was believed that she had made a run for it and was headed towards Mexico. Well, now we kind of know for a fact that she hightailed it to Mexico. And as of right now, she has still not been caught. And there's some new details, new information that has been revealed. Apparently, the whole thing was caught on camera. Or maybe not the whole thing, but portions of this incident that happened between Yolanda and Rebecca. It happened on camera. They have video footage. So this isn't one of those cases where they're scratching their heads wondering what's going on. Everyone kind of knows, or knows for sure, allegedly, that Yolanda did this. Also, Yolanda texted a friend about the situation as well. And, at first it was obvious because of this happening. Obviously, they had some problems in their relationship. But now we know more about those problems. I believe Rebecca was getting ready to leave Yolanda. And for those of you all who don't know or may have forgotten, Yolanda this is the crazy part. It sounds crazy saying it, but Yolanda actually killed her husband and served years and years in jail for the murder of her husband. And once she got out of prison, she started talking to Rebecca. So now Yolanda was found guilty of killing her husband, and it looks like on video that she's guilty of killing her wife. So we have someone who has unalived two spouses, one male, one female. Very crazy situation. Let's go ahead and dive into this article and find out more. Wife of slain California fire captain believed to have fled to Mexico as police issue arrest warrant for murder. The woman suspected of stabbing her California fire captain wife to death is believed to have fled to Mexico amid an urgent hunt for her whereabouts. Rebecca Marodi, 49, was found dead from multiple stab wounds to her neck, chest, and abdomen last week inside the Ramona home she shared with her wife and her mother. I didn't know the mother stayed there as well. Okay. Days after the tragic discovery, police announced an investigation into Rebecca's wife, 53-year-old Yolanda Olejanik, very hard for me to pronounce that last name, as the prime suspect in her murder, warning the public that she is still on the loose. In a new development, authorities have issued a warrant for Yolanda's arrest as she is believed to have fled to Mexico following the horrific killing, the Los Angeles Times has reported. More shocking details have emerged since Yolanda's been on the run, as it was revealed she had previously been guilty of felony voluntary manslaughter charges after she killed her then husband in the year 2000. The bombshell revelations come after Rebecca's mother, Lorena, called 911 on February 17th, informing officers that her daughter had been stabbed inside their home on Rancho Villa Road, according to an arrest warrant obtained by KABC TV News. When San Diego County Sheriff's deputies arrived at the scene, they were met with Rebecca suffering stab wounds to the neck, chest, and abdomen. The decorated firefighter devastatingly succumbed to her injuries after life-saving measures were administered. The medical examiner's office conducted the autopsy and concluded that the cause of death was stab wounds or sharp force injuries, categorizing the manner of death as homicide. Lorena told detectives that a week prior, her daughter had told Yolanda that she was ending their 2-year marriage. She also offered officers a Ring camera from the home, which they reviewed the following day. In the home security footage, Yolanda appeared to be chasing Rebecca across the patio shortly after 8 p.m. the evening of the deadly attack. A voice, believed to be that of Rebecca, can be heard crying out, "Yolanda, please! I don't want to die," before she appeared in the frame with what seems to be blood running down her back, the arrest warrant states. At that point, another voice, believed to be Yolanda's, could be heard replying, "You should have thought of that before," as she stood over her wife, holding a knife with apparent blood on her arm. Rebecca repeatedly told her wife to call 911, while Yolanda told her to go back inside, an order Rebecca eventually obeyed as the two were seen entering the home. It was the last time Rebecca was seen in the footage. Around 10 minutes later, Yolanda is seen gathering pets, random items, and some luggage, and loading it into a silver Chevrolet Equinox SUV, the warrant states. She was also seen wearing different clothes during what appeared to be a rushed escape. The vehicle was then seen hours later entering Mexico as it crossed the border, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Although Yolanda still remains on the run, the warrant did note that she has since texted a friend. "Becky came home and told me she was leaving me. She had met someone else. All the messages were lies," the text read. "We had a big fight, and I hurt her. I'm sorry." And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't marry someone who just got out of jail for killing their significant other. And that should really go without saying. But in the year 2025, and I guess just in recent years overall, this has become a popular thing to do. I mean, look at Gypsy Rose. She had plenty of people lusting after her, trying to marry her as soon as she got out of jail, and they were marrying her in jail as well. But anyway, it's it's a tragic situation that I feel like could have been totally avoided if people just acknowledged the red flags that are there. In today's society, they've tried to make it to where people ignore certain red flags, right? Like, look, people can change and people can do bad things in the past and become a better person. You know, there's plenty of people who go to prison or go to jail and they're not bad people. But there's a difference between going to jail for something like this and going to jail for killing your husband or your wife or something like that. But I guess the lines have been blurred because even when I reported on this case a couple of weeks ago, people were like, "How was Rebecca supposed to know? People change." And I'm like, man, she just got out of jail or prison a couple of years ago for killing her husband. And if someone's capable of doing that, they're capable of doing it again. And I'm sure that she fed Rebecca a sob story and blamed everything on her husband. I'm sure that's what happened. She probably made herself out to be the victim, pretending it was her husband's fault, and her husband was a bad guy, and she had to do what she had to do, and Rebecca probably ate it up. But now we know who the real problem was. It wasn't Yolanda's husband, and it wasn't Rebecca. It was Yolanda, okay? She's a psycho. And now this psycho is on the loose, running around somewhere, and she may strike again. Because this is someone who is fully capable of not only killing people, but killing people who she supposedly was supposed to love. And now she's on the run in Mexico. And one thing that stuck out to me is that as her wife, as Rebecca lied on the ground, taking her last breaths, Yolanda was running around the house, grabbing belongings, getting her pets. And it stuck out to me because it's like, how can I put this? It's like you don't, someone who does something like Yolanda has done, it's like they don't value human life, right? So as your wife is lying on the ground after what you did to her, you're gathering the pets and stuff because you value their lives more than the life of your wife. You guys get what I'm saying here? It always kind of blows my mind because it's like, oh, so you value your belongings. You want to gather your belongings. You want to gather your pets. You want to grab these things because you value those things, right? And you make a run for it. But what about your wife? And it's like so often in these cases, you'll see people, they'll value their pets, or they'll value this object, or they'll value this house, or they'll value that, but they don't value human life. And that's where our society has gone wrong. You know, people placing more value in other things as opposed to human lives. You know, you would think that someone who's capable of just doing what she allegedly did to her wife, you know, would be so cold-hearted and cold-blooded that they wouldn't care about leaving the dogs behind. And who cares about that old picture? Who cares about this? Who cares about that pair of shoes? But that's how these people are, man. It's sick and twisted. And like I said, now she's still on the run and apparently already got into Mexico. So who knows how this is going to end? And who knows if they'll ever even find her? And the media coverage around this story is almost non-existent, which is weird because this has the makings of a story that I think would get a lot of attention, especially because of the California fires that just happened. And then you got a fire captain that fought those fires get murdered by her wife who's now on the run. I think that's a wild story, but it's not getting a lot of coverage. And I think it's because it doesn't paint a certain narrative. It doesn't show things that the news wants to show. And that is like DV between women. Because if you look at the statistics, DV is more common in relationships between two women as opposed to a relationship between a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or whatever 55 genders they create tomorrow. I can't keep up with the stuff anymore. But yeah, I think that overall it's a conversation that they don't want to have, and that's why you're not seeing much talk about it. But there is a manhunt underway for this woman right now as we speak. But I will say that Yolanda picked like the worst time possible to do something like this, because over the past couple of months since Trump has been in office, we've had a lot of military headed towards the southern border, and we got law enforcement and different agencies down there that are conducting little spy and surveillance operations in Mexico. We are flying spy planes and drones over Mexico as we speak. This is something I've reported on my other channel, Fat and Opinionated. You can go check out those videos and subscribe if you would like. But over the past couple of months, we've been conducting these spy operations in Mexico, tracking down certain cartel members and things along those lines. I don't know if we would use that to try to catch someone like Yolanda. But just the fact that that type of stuff is happening right now, it makes you wonder if they could use some of that tech or use some of the strategies that they're using to track down these cartel. They could use those same strategies to track down criminals that escape into Mexico. Because I'm sure there's plenty of criminals from the U.S. that are hiding in Mexico as we speak, Yolanda being one of them, if she hasn't made it farther by now. So the equipment and the technology exists that we could easily find her. If we could track down these high-profile cartel members, we could find Yolanda if we wanted to. I'm not sure if they'll put those resources towards finding her. I'm not confident that they will. They most likely won't. But those resources are available. And I'm wondering if they're going to start using those resources for things like that. And I would like to see that, because people like Yolanda don't need to get away with what she's gotten away with here, at least for now. I mean, and one could make the argument that she probably had no business being out of jail in the first place. But for now, you guys let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.